Again, welcome. You are here. We're going to talk about the Tableau Data Analytics Skills Certificate of Partnership with NYU Tandon and Pathstream. As a point of order, just to let you know where we'll go today, of course, we're going to jump into some introductions. We'll talk about the partnership, a little bit about Pathstream, give you an overview, the who, what, why, when, how of the certificate, do a demo in the platform. So what would your experience be like as a learner if you were to actually take the certificate, engage with the courses, and then of course leave some time for Q&A. I just want to highlight at the moment, take a second, find that Q&A button. If you have questions, we definitely want to answer them and we don't want them to get lost in the chat. So make sure that you enter any questions in that Q&A, use that Q&A feature so that we make sure to answer those. As I mentioned, Zora, my colleague from Pathstream representing the Career Services team today, can sort of address questions throughout, but we will do our best to make sure all your questions get answered by the end as well, leaving some time for that. So introductions, I'll hand it over to Lindsay.
Awesome. I am Lindsay Hayes, Dr. Hayes. I am a manager at NYU currently. I help support all of our professional education programs, my favorite being the ones that we offer through Pathstream, just because they're super direct and really help students and learners learn really specific skills, which I think is really important for the workforce. But my background, I'm a learning scientist. I have a bachelor's degree in marketing from Penn State, a master's degree in education from Johns Hopkins, and a PhD in learning design and technology from Penn State as well. So my degrees and my education up to this point is really focused on how to build really immersive and engaging learning experiences for students using technology in the classroom, hybrid, whatever. But I'm really interested in creating solid, efficient learning environments. And I think that as an instructor of one of the Pathstream programs and an instructor of the Tableau Data Analytics program, this program really does a really good job of a lot of the things I've learned in school about how to create good learning environments. They're doing that in action, and we're providing that to you in action. So really excited to hopefully work with you in the future, help you learn, and get you some really good professional education services and really diving into data, Tableau, and SQL in this program. So happy to answer some more questions as we move on, but just a brief overview. I'm a learning scientist, really into how to get people to learn efficiently. And I think Pathstream is one of the programs that helps us do that really well.
Well, thank you so much. And, I think it's amazing, given your background, having you as a collaborator, having you as a partner, being able to testify firsthand to Pathstream, it obviously means so much. So for folks on the webinar, it's really a great perspective that you get to have Dr. Hayes here with you today to give her your experience. So me, myself, just to give you some context as to why I'm here, I am on the learning design team at Pathstream. I actually have a PhD in physics, which is where I started as a college physics professor, got very interested in physics education, science education more broadly, and educational technology. Ended up going back to school, doing a degree in educational technology, spent another year building massive online courses for MIT, and then was recruited by Microsoft. So I worked for Microsoft for a few years on their STEM skills and employability team. And how that's relevant to my time at Pathstream is that I got to spend a lot of time thinking about, what are the skills that learners need to be able to take those digital jobs we're going to talk about today to fill the skills gap. We know that there are more jobs than people to fill those jobs, and that's what we call the skills gap. So that's why we're here today, because you're interested in hearing about a potential opportunity to upskill your digital skills. So to speak to our partnership, to give you some perspective on Pathstream, I'll hand it over to Lindsay again.
Yeah, sure. So as a higher ed professional, I've seen kind of the ins and outs at a couple different universities that I've worked with about how to offer really tangible and great efficient learning experiences to students. And sometimes we have really great professors and we have really great subject matter experts, but they're not necessarily learning designers, and they're not necessarily core people who know how to create learning management systems or systems that deliver instruction. Although they have all of the information in their heads, they don't necessarily have the tools to give that information to others. So what Tandon did, NYU did, is we partnered with Pathstream because they're definitely experts on how to get instruction to learners. So we partnered with them so that we can just have a really good partnership in delivering these in-time materials to students. So the Tableau Data Analytics program, Pathstream has done a really, really great job at creating project-based learning, which we know is one of the best, most efficient ways for students to learn, in terms of they have projects over several different courses within the program where you actually get to work on different real life data, using real life data, different projects, and then you're getting feedback from instructors. So we partnered with Pathstream because they've developed really, really core content and material that helps us teach you these digital skills that are really important. But we're coupling that with NYU instructors and NYU management and trying to get you the best of both worlds. So you have really sleek, really streamlined learning management system that's based in how to get you to work hands-on with projects, but then also getting real-time instruction, FaceTime with instructors who are experts in their field. And Pathstream has just been an awesome partner in allowing us to do that. And again, once you see the demo, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about in terms of it not being, we call it like chocolate covered broccoli. It's not just something that looks like everything else. It's not just, a textbook that we've put onto the computer and you're just learning it rote as you might have done in elementary or middle school. This is using technology to really help learners learn. And we think Pathstream does an awesome job with that. And that's why we've partnered with them. So I'm excited for you guys to see the demo and hopefully understand what we mean by project-based learning there.
Thank you so much. That gives an amazing overview of basically everything we're going to touch on. So we are going to, let's jump in. We have alluded to this, right? The demand for digital skills, the skills gap. More and more jobs are requiring software skills, so becoming digitally intensive. And the good news about that is that these jobs offer greater opportunity for career advancement. So for instance, if you're going to take data analytics as an example, once you get a role in data analytics, there's a lot of upward mobility, potential for raises and promotions, et cetera, because there's so much opportunity in data analysis, right? And so these jobs also pay baseline more than non-digital roles. In terms of the platform, and you already heard a little bit about this in the introduction, but it is tool-based learning. So today we're going to tell you about the courses that make up the certificate and what tools you will learn. You'll hear names like SQL and Tableau. We use spreadsheets as well, Google Sheets, and you will practice with those tools in a hands-on lab environment. So the preview here is that you're going to get to see that lab environment. You're going to utilize those tools in a scaffolded way, and then that ladders up to a project. And as Lindsay mentioned, a project-based learning is the gold standard, right? And you also receive personalized feedback from an instructor. So there's a lot of online learning out there, and in terms of doing projects and having personalized feedback from an instructor, I think this is the best of many different possibilities, right? You don't want to be out there on your own trying to get this stuff by yourself. What we offer you is this learning platform where you get a streamlined experience. We make it efficient and effective, but you still have support and you still have the opportunity to do these projects where you're learning and you're also building artifacts that you can add to a professional portfolio for prospective employers. So in terms of details, I mentioned 3 courses. You're going to, at the end, earn a certificate from the NYU Tandon School of Engineering. So this is really important, a branded certificate that testifies to your skills. That's an important proof point for employers. And we will talk also about these career services. So we provide you with career services at no additional cost. It comes as part of the certificate. What do the career services consist of? Well, first of all, I can tell you, being on the learning design team, we work really hard to make sure that our content is up to date and career aligned. You're learning things that are authentic to the work experience. You're using tools that are authentic, and you're producing things that would be authentic to a job in data business analytics. Every week, you will get targeted job opportunities in your inbox. Career Services puts together a newsletter with helpful information and job opportunities for you. When you're digging into that third course, that's really when the career services kick in. Things like resume and LinkedIn profile review, career coaching calls, networking support, referrals, interview prep, lots of really great things that come with these career services. We work really closely with you to think about, okay, once the certificate is done, where do I want to go? Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? Surface opportunities for you, explore those opportunities, help you turn that into whatever the next thing you want to do is with the certificate. To zoom out for a moment, this is a list. We're going to get into learning objectives, but just wanted to provide you with a list again to emphasize the tools and the big milestones you'll achieve in the courses. So you'll work with spreadsheets. You're going to do data synthesis and exploratory data analysis in that first course. In the second course, you'll use MySQL to build and execute SQL scripts and do a technical assessment that would be authentic, again, to practices in the real world, things that you will need to know as a data analyst using SQL. Tableau and taking Tableau and as the tool and producing data visualizations in Tableau stories. And if you've never used a spreadsheet, or you don't know what SQL is or Tableau is, that's okay. We don't assume any prior experience. You can come in with just a clean slate, and as long as you're excited, ready to learn, we're going to build your knowledge up. So diving into the program details, again, 3 courses, 27 weeks total. There are no lectures or specific times to sign on. It's meant to be flexible, though we do provide you with a schedule. So, you want a little bit of structure.
I can hop in here, Brooke. How we envision it is we have these 3 courses. Ideally, you would be on pace at the end of each of the 3 courses. So we give you a schedule. We have suggested dates for, by Monday, section 1 should be done. By the Monday after that, quiz 2 should be done. Project 3 should be done. So we have these suggested dates. If you fall off from that schedule, you don't need to email your professor. You're not going to get late points taken off, anything like that. That's really just to help you keep on pace with your own, with your own schedule of what needs to be done. By the end of the course, we really want all of your assignments submitted before we move on to the second course. So you have, 8 weeks within that first course. By the end of that 8 weeks, we want all 4 projects done. We want all 3 quizzes done. And you should be through all of your section material before we move on to SQL. And then same thing, we want all of your SQL projects done before we move on to Tableau. But it is flexible. So it's not like if you don't turn it in on that Friday that there's going to be points taken off or anything like that. But we just do want you keeping up with the course, because we don't want you all the way back in course 1 when, we're doing live lectures for course 3. In terms of instructor support, we have weekly office hours. So if you ever just want to pop in to say hi, or you have a question about something that's going on with material, or you're stuck on a project, you can always pop into our office hours to ask questions. In addition to that, we have 4 live sessions throughout the entire program where we're going over and just giving you instructional support about what's coming up in the program, what we've already gone over, what we've seen in projects, questions that people are consistently getting wrong, or we know coming up project 2, this is something that people fumble on. So we want to give you a heads up there. And then you're also getting feedback on your assignments. So we're really grading them. We're going through them with a fine tooth comb. We're giving you feedback and support here. You might have gotten the question right, but there was a faster or more efficient way to do it. So we're giving you that type of feedback and tips as you're going through. And then at the end, NYU, I actually do this as the manager of the program. We issue your certificate. It has your name on it. It says the skills that you've learned. It says the name of the program. and it has NYU Tandon School of Engineering on it.
Well, I also just want to point out to the audience, you are hearing from an instructor about how it goes. So that's a really, I think that's obviously a really great, fortunate point of view that you can see that you get instructor support. And this is one of our instructors here. So thank you so much for adding that.
Absolutely.
To speak further, so you got a testimonial, but these are some student testimonials as well. It's great for us to come and get to speak to you about the program, but to give you some perspective about what folks in your position were, what their experience was, what their point of view was. I'll just give you a moment to take a look at some of our comments. I won't read them all to you, but you can see.
Yeah, and one I'll just expand on here. You'll
Please.
see labs comes up over and over and break down the instruction and easy to understand and step by step. You'll see that over and over because one thing that Pathstream and the curriculum does a really, really good job of is if you don't know anything, if you're starting from scratch, you could do this program and it'll take you step by step. If this is how you do it, I'll do it, you do it. I do it, we do it, you do it, right? So it's going to show you how it's done. It's going to scaffold it a little bit and help you do it. And then we're going to expect you to do it on your own, which is really, really solid instruction. But the labs are top tier in terms of letting you go in and use the specific tool we're talking about. And you might have 8 prompts and, you can do step 1, do this. And if you're not sure how to do it or what they're asking, you can hit the little hint box and it'll take you step by step. This is exactly what we're asking for. If you already know it or you feel like you're mastering it and you don't need the hint box, you can just keep moving through and then you can check your answer at the end to make sure you know what you're doing. So whether you're an expert and you kind of know what you're doing and you're just breezing through and you just want to check your answers, you can do that. Or if you need step-by-step instruction, it'll break it down for you so that you can see where you might have gone wrong. And the labs just do a really good job of allowing you to assess your own understanding, to get help, and to see step-by-step instructions. So it's really great. Some of my students have used SQL every day and used Tableau on a regular basis. So they're moving through the program at a faster pace because they know what they're doing, which is awesome, and that's fine. And then I have some people who've never even opened SQL, never opened Tableau, and might have a little bit of knowledge with Google Sheets, and they're moving through at a regular pace or a slower pace, and that's fine too. But what's awesome about the program and the materials is that wherever you are, you can move through at the pace that's best for you, which is ideal in any learning environment.
Absolutely. And it's really great that you're reinforcing our intention, which is if you have some experience, great. If you have no experience, great. All are welcome. And to reinforce what you shared, we do have a student testimonial as well. So let me show this video from an NYU student, as a matter of fact.
I think that the interactivity in a lot of the modules helped keep me engaged and kept me interested and honest with myself. So I'm a note taker. I bought a new notebook. I was all excited about having this fresh start. And so I would kind of take notes, review notes, and then they the video demos that were basically the animations, leading you through something, but then asking you to go and do it in a slightly different way on your own. And so it felt very, to use the education term, it felt very scaffolded. Here's this new skill. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to show you how I do it. Okay, now you go do almost that exact same thing. Okay, now you go and do something a little bit more challenging or a little bit different, a little bit where you have to apply what you learned in a slightly new way.
Now that we have really kind of talked broadly about the program, about the features, and also you've seen some testimonials, let's dive into some particulars. So what is this certificate all about here? First of all, from our perspective, diving into data analytics, what is the we've done market research to identify opportunities for folks, like what are the biggest growing sectors. So from an industry data perspective, the number of job postings we're talking about on the order of 1 million job postings in the last year. And if you were to go take a look at, your favorite job platform, LinkedIn, Indeed, et cetera, and just sort of do a search on Tableau or data, you're going to see there's a huge number of roles available, as well as just the growth. So the projected growth, 30%, in the next decade, and non-analyst roles. When you do that job search, you're going to surface jobs that aren't necessarily analyst roles, but are asking for data proficiency. So it's a net good to have data skills, even if you don't become a data analyst in particular. In terms of taking the certificate and what the outcomes are, we see students that do pivot into new jobs altogether, becoming taking roles as analysts, data analysts, business analysts, or taking that skill set and applying it in their current job, or pursuing a promotion. Another feature of this that we haven't discussed yet is once you finish the certificate, it is preparation for the Tableau Desktop Specialist exam. So you would be, equipped to go and with like a little bit more directed study, go take that exam. And now that's another proof point in your portfolio with your data skills for future employers. Learning outcomes. So what we have here, the 3 courses, you're going to start with that first course, Business Analytics Fundamentals. This is where we get into spreadsheets, SQL in the second course, Tableau in the third course. And maybe I'll hand it over to you, Lindsay, if you want to talk a little bit more deeply about the courses.
So all 3 really build on each other. The first, we're really just making sure you have good working knowledge of spreadsheets using Google Sheets. Even if you use spreadsheets on a daily basis, there's some like tips and tricks in there. Maybe you didn't know that there were certain functionalities that you could use, or just brushing up on your skills. And I find that it's nice for some equations and different formulas that you might use in spreadsheets, just to like pull some of those and keep them in a folder for later, so that you can just like have a place to go whenever I know I learned this, but I don't quite remember. So you just have a resource for yourself. In terms of SQL, if you've never used SQL, it's like learning a brand new language. You're essentially learning how to talk to a computer and get it to talk back to you to pull the right information that you want, which is, it's a learning foundation. It's a learning block for Tableau, because for certain functions in Tableau, you do need to know how to write in certain code, and SQL is a great way to learn how to do that. But in general, just with the job market, the amount of data that companies have, they're all going into warehouses and databases, and we need humans that know how to talk to computers to get that information out. So if you don't have that skill set, it's extremely important for you to have in the future, because talking to computers is going to be extremely important in the future. And then the last part is the data visualizations in Tableau, which is telling humans what the computer said, and making really pretty visualizations, and not just pretty that the colors are nice, but making things that make sense, and being able to use these large buckets of data, analyze them, and then present them back to stakeholders, present them back to managers, present them back to anyone who needs to understand what is the data telling us. You are a translator, and you're taking, this is what the computer's saying. Who are the people who are important to this conversation? What do they need to know? What is important to them? And how can I visually, make a compelling case about what I know the data is saying, and how to use Tableau to do that, and how to create really stunning visualizations. Tableau is one of the only softwares that you can do some of the things that we teach you how to do. So it's a really solid program. I think the data visualizations is my favorite, just because you have so much wiggle room and you can really make it your own. And then you can use it in anything. Like the data that we use is real world data. But if you needed to present a case to anybody about any type of data, the skills that you get here, you'll know how to apply them elsewhere, which is ideal. And that's what we're shooting for.
I really love that framing, sort of like the getting introduced to data, but then talking to computers, but then talking to people about the data that you extract from the computers. It's really important set of skills, and a lot of people don't have those skills. So this is a competitive skill set. So jumping into a platform demo, I have grabbed our business analytics fundamentals course. And so I want to make sure, can you see the fundamentals course? Yes.
Yep, all good.
Perfect. So this is your view as a student. You're going to go in. We have things separated into modules. You get a welcome. So you're going to get an overview, how to use the platform, an overview to the entire course, upfront, the final project expectations. And then in terms of, I'm going to go ahead and pick a lesson where we can take a look at one of the labs. So I'm going to scroll into that fourth module here, data wrangling with Google Sheets. And I'm going to pick the second section, calculations and spreadsheets. When I click into that, what you'll see is there are a couple of items that help you understand, what's included. We have time prompts, so it gives you an idea of budgeting your time. If there are labs in a particular section or lesson, you'll see this is the symbol for that. I'm going to jump into the formulas and functions lesson. So in terms of jumping in, and maybe I'll go back for just a minute, you get to see, okay, I am in the calculations and spreadsheet module. This is my lesson. You're always going to get an introduction at the very beginning of a module, and then you're going to jump into those lessons. Up front, we've got your learning objective. So in this particular lesson, we're going to be applying specific formulas and functions. As we scroll through, there's scaffolding. So we're going to provide you with a certain amount of text, but also not just text. You're going to have items like GIFs that help you see in real life what we are trying to teach you, what you're going to practice, right? So I do it, you do it, we do it. And then we have, videos in the platform that tell you exactly, again, what, sort of scaffold the experience for you, provide reinforcement of the material we're providing. After that video, you get a knowledge check. This particular knowledge check has been answered. You can see this is the correct answer. So you get an explanation, but also if you had picked the wrong answer, you would get an explanation about that, and you would get the opportunity to go back and try again. So these are designed to, help you learn and break up that experience so it's not just static. I'm going to continue to scroll down so you can just get an idea of what this lesson looks like and what all the various elements are. Occasionally, we also, provide you with artifacts. So here we've got a formulas and functions cheat sheet, and that is something that you can take and utilize later on. I'll let me pause. Did you want to contribute, Lindsay?
I was just going to say the cheat sheets are great. At the end of each lesson, at the end of each section, there's drop downs for you to look at. Okay, here's pretty much if you were taking your own notes and creating keywords or core points of the lesson, it's already summarized for you, and that's something you can take with you, which is great because you might not have a project until section 5, or you might have a project comes up in section 7, and you need to remember what you learned in projects 1 and 2, and you could go back to those sections no problem, and go back through and comb through and see what you need to find. But if you download the cheat sheets and you have just kind of a running list of all of the keywords and the key terms you've learned up to that point, you have resources available to you that you can use whenever you need for the projects and beyond.
Absolutely. So we will, down at the bottom, get into the lab. So this is the lab experience. You're going to go through your lesson. You're going to get to a point where you will come up on a lab. This particular lab is about calculations with formulas and functions. Here we tell you, what are you going to do in this lab? You're going to create formulas and functions, and we're going to scaffold that experience with you. Oh, and by the way, if you didn't already download the cheat sheet, here's another opportunity. So let's launch the lab just so you get an idea of what it looks like. As we mentioned, it's authentic. You're going to pop right into, in this case, a spreadsheet, right? We're in that first course where you're learning all about spreadsheets. You're going to launch right into a lab. So this is a pre-populated spreadsheet. You can click around and actually manipulate the spreadsheet as you're working your way through instructions. So actually, let me go back for a moment. You're going to pop right into the first step. The first step is really nothing but setting the stage for you. What is the purpose of the lab? What are you going to complete in this lab? So it's just laying that out. Reminders are provided. We're going to click into the next step here. You're going to work through instructions. And, you know, I've heard different students approach this differently. Some students sort of like to try things, tinker, try to, you know, accomplish tasks without much help. And then they go back and they look at hints, but it's entirely up to you, you know, what you like to do. We have hints, tips, and tricks all along to show you how to do things. And sometimes those are static images. Sometimes those are GIFs where we actually just show you exactly what to do. But again, that scaffolded experience where we don't just tell you do this thing, we actually also show you and give you as much detail as we can, in addition to, for instance, a model solution. So you get to see what the actual solution should be when you're done with the step, right? And then we have, again, knowledge checks in the labs, just to make sure that, you know, you're on track, to make sure that we are providing you with the information, that we're kind of closing off on that learning loop. And I want to pause if there's anything that I've missed, Lindsay, about talking about the labs.
No, I mean, for some people who are coming into this, you might look at this like, okay, I know how to use, you know, I know how to do formulas, I know how to do sheets. This might be elementary to you. So some people may not have seen this at all, but I promise if you've never seen SQL, if you've never seen Tableau, you're going to be very, very thankful for the step-by-step instructions. So even if it feels like, you know, this might be lower than your bar, that's okay. As you move through the course, it builds on each other, and we're asking you to do more difficult things throughout the course. And if this is brand new to you, you're absolutely going to love the step-by-step instruction, because like we said, if you're starting at zero, we're taking you through exactly how to do it. But if you have a baseline already, you can just kind of run through it and make sure you know everything that's going on and keep moving through at your own pace.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. That maybe if you're already proficient with spreadsheets, that didn't look, you know, too difficult for you. But when we get into SQL or Tableau, if you don't actually have a lot of experience there, the scaffolding is helpful. One other thing that you mentioned I wanted to talk about too is this, the project isn't, you know, rush to the end of the course and do a project. We split up the project into pieces. So I just wanted to demonstrate to sort of show that part of it as well. You click into, and this happens to be part one of your project. You're going to get an overview with very explicit instructions. So we tell you exactly what we want you to do, follow the instructions, work here, and you're going to jump into the experience. And again, the project is scaffolded like, you know, the lab. So it's not completely different. It's another extension of what you're doing. You're applying what you've learned, and you're doing it in a project card, which will get turned in. And of course, as we mentioned before, you get feedback on this as well.
Yeah, and the projects aren't, you know, A, B, C, or D. We're expecting you to show your learning, right? We're expecting you to have really thoughtful prompt responses. We're expecting you to show your work, tell me what formula you used, explain the process and the thought process you went through. And it's not like a one size fit all. In some cases, there's only one answer. In some cases, there's a variety of answers just based on how you approach the problem. So it's not, you know, it's not spoon fed. It's not, oh, I just need to type something in and then I'm gonna get an A and be able to move on. Like, you actually have to be thoughtful in your responses and thoughtful in your approach to the data. And that's throughout the course.
Absolutely, yeah. And to reinforce what you've said, this is meant to be something that is meaningful, where you practice your skills. And this is something that, you know, adds to your work portfolio, like putting together a deck and framing a business problem. This is like an authentic work practice you would do as an analyst.